Well, as we mentioned, vaccines are set to roll out this week. The UK is starting shots on Tuesday, and the US on track for an approval on Thursday. So, how are hospitals going to handle the biggest vaccination effort in history? Joining me now to discuss is Director of Emergency Medicine at Johns Hopkins University, Dr. Gabe Kellen, live from Baltimore. Dr. Kellen, thanks for being here today. Hospitals already under immense strain with hospitalizations rising by almost $2,000 a day, or 2,000 a day, excuse me, patients. How are medical staff preparing for vaccine distribution to counter this strain?
Pretty much all the hospitals anticipate being among the first receivers of vaccine. And I think in all the states, the hospitals have already been engaged with their state health departments and their state agencies to be able to receive the first doses of vaccine. So pretty much all of us have geared up our system to receive it with all of its complications, as we just heard. This has to be stored and received in minus 70 degrees. That's very unusual. That's not your normal refrigeration. You have to handle it very carefully because if it's outside of that environment for more than 3 minutes, you can't just refreeze it. It already begins to degrade. But I would say the vast majority of hospitals have geared up. The only thing that is very, very tricky is that unlike the flu vaccine where there was adequate supply, you just signed up, you went to some clinic, you got vaccinated, or you went to your local pharmacy or your doctor's office or clinic. You can't do that with this vaccine. And initially, there's going to be great scarcity. And so we have to give the vaccine in phases, as you know, and thus most of us have developed kind of a scarce resource tiering of who, based on CDC guidelines, augmented by what the states promulgate, as to who should get the vaccine first and under what circumstances.
Well,
As you probably, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm wondering, for someone like you, I mean, Director of Emergency Medicine at Johns Hopkins University, you are ostensibly in an early group of people who will get this vaccine potentially in the coming weeks, right? Have you heard anything about when you'll actually get access to it?
Yes. In this state, and I imagine most states, if approval is given on the 15th, and it's still probably a small if that it might not be, but I think everybody's anticipating that it will be. We anticipate receiving vaccine on or about that date, and we are ready to roll literally as soon as we get the vaccine. We can start our vaccination program. So somewhere around the 14th, 15th, thereabouts, and our entire system is set to go. But
So
again,
that means if I were to talk to you in a week, you could have already received your shot.
So what we're doing is, even among the top groups like emergency ICUs, COVID units, and so forth, all of us are not going to be eligible immediately. We just don't have enough. That said, I might be among the top group. We're doing kind of a lottery system where all those who are equal at the very, very top will get kind of a lottery number. And if your number is such that there's enough vaccine for you, then you go and get vaccinated. So yes, if we talk next week or the week after, I may be vaccinated.
Oh, it would be great news. I want to end with just asking about the potential rollout on a wider basis here, because Health and Human Services Chief Alex Azar said that all Americans who want to get the vaccine will be able to do so by the second quarter of the year. Given what we've heard from the federal government throughout this pandemic, the fact that hospitals did not have adequate supply of PPE, the fact that it's still difficult throughout the United States to actually get quick turnaround when it comes to testing for COVID, is this a timeline that we should really be confident in?
I think within reason. Obviously, anything could happen, and it usually does. But obviously, there is vaccine for this first amount, about 22 million doses all told, and maybe about 6 million or so rolling out immediately. Moderna may be approved immediately the week after. That'll bring about another 22 million onto the market. And both of them, as you know, will increase production to about 100 million available to the US. At least we've purchased that much. And then don't forget, there's like all sorts of other vaccines deep into the pipeline that over the coming weeks and months may also get approval. So the idea that the majority of the population, particularly, including those who actually want to get vaccinated, and we hope that's a lot, because we do need to reach herd immunity. The idea that by the end of the second quarter, meaning late spring, early summer, that is definitely not out of the question, and in fact, it's quite likely.
All right, there it is. Director of Emergency Medicine at Johns Hopkins University, Dr. Gabe Callan. Dr. Callan, thanks for joining us live from Baltimore. And we should note that Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health is supported by Michael R. Bloomberg, the founder of Bloomberg LP and Bloomberg Philanthropies.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.